Hello guys, so my name is Logan and today I decided to do something that I have wanted to do for a long time, that is start a YouTube channel. So since I was like 12 or 13, I've always watched YouTube beauty videos and beauty gurus and hauls and makeup tutorials, and I've always been so inspired by them and motivated to start a YouTube channel, and I just never did because I just thought that nobody would watch and I was insecure and I just never did it. But with everything going on and not being able to really leave the house or wanting to leave the house, I decided now would be a perfect time. So I haven't really left my house because I'm a server and I live in Ohio, and in Ohio, dine-in is closed. So I'm not fired, I'm not laid off, I still have my job. That makes this way less stressful, so whenever this is over, I can continue to work at my same job. And also that's my boyfriend and my son crying. Yeah, that's what that is. So I'm also in college and my classes have moved to online till the end of the semester, so I don't have to go back. So I haven't really been doing anything except watching YouTube videos, and I decided that I wanted to start a channel to help people, to help me, to get my mind off things. And I'm going to talk about, like, I want my channel to, I'm a recovering addict. I want my channel to be about recovery, addiction, my life. I want to read things that I've wrote about addiction. I want to talk about my triggers, my coping skills, Q&A, bring people on here to talk about their lives, how my addiction affected them, talk about their own addictions, do Q&As. I'm open to any ideas. I have a lot of ideas. I also enjoy doing makeup. I figured maybe that I could, in some videos, be doing makeup while talking. I don't know how that's going to go. I'm not a makeup artist. I'm not very good at makeup. I just enjoy doing it. It's something I do to pass my time. So I have a lot of ideas. Today, I figured I would introduce myself and then talk about up until the age I was 12. I have an idea to do like a series, a mini series to start off, just so you guys can get to know me, get to know how I became an addict, my life. So I'm going to start also by saying that I know that I could get a lot of hateful, negative comments. I'm not worried about that. That's not going to deter me from doing what I want to do. It doesn't bother me personally. The only reason hateful comments bother me is because, like, it just shows the lack of understanding, the lack of education, empathy, and compassion that people have towards addicts, recovering addicts, and just other human beings in general. Like, addicts are human beings. They are family, their moms, their dads, their brothers, their sisters. That's the only reason that negative comments hurt me, because it just hurts to know that people can think that way about another human being. I'm not saying that all my choices in life are justified, or that I didn't do bad things, or that I didn't deserve my punishments. I'm not saying any of that. It just hurts when you read a comment saying, oh, just let them die. I don't think anybody should die. I don't think that, that's how I feel, and that's the only reason negative comments like bother me. They're not going to get to me personally. So with that being said, I'm going to introduce myself. First of all, I'm in my playroom, our playroom. I live with my boyfriend and a roommate. He has 2 kids. And my boyfriend has 3 kids, and I have a 15-month-old son. my backdrop is terrible. I'm not a YouTuber. I'm not great at this. I'm just starting out. This is just to get my mind off things, and so ignore that. Like I said, I'm 22. I live in Ohio. The closest big city to me is Cincinnati. I'm not going to say where I live, obviously. And I have a 15-month-old son. I'm going to college for psychological science, and I'm a server, like I said. I enjoy art, makeup, music, a lot of things. So I figured that I could start by talking about up until the age I was 12, because I think that's a good place to stop for another YouTube video. If I look down, it's because I don't have anything curated or typed up for this video, or a script or anything. I have a timeline for a lead typed up on my computer, and if you don't know what a lead is where you go to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting or a treatment center and you share about your story, which is basically what I'm doing here. So I'm not gonna say every single word I have typed up. I'm just using it to focus on the main points that I want to talk about. So, when I was born in Ohio. I lived here my whole life, and my mom and my dad were together. They were not married. We lived in an apartment. The first thing I can really remember is when I was 3 years old, we went to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina for a vacation, and it was really fun. We stopped in Tennessee on the way back, and we have a lot of pictures, and so I guess a couple months after that, my mom and my dad split up. From what I know, what I've been told, from what I've heard from a bunch of different people, my mom and my dad was abusive to my mother. It wasn't a healthy relationship. He was controlling, so they split up. At this time, me and my mom stayed in the apartment that we lived in, and my dad moved somewhere with his mom or his dad or somewhere, my grandma and grandpa. So I guess I could start by saying, my dad, he smoked a lot of marijuana. I guess when I was 3 years old, I found a Frisbee under the couch full of weed, and I went to daycare and told my teacher that Daddy hides his weed in a Frisbee under the couch, and my mom was mortified and whatever. So I know that he smoked marijuana. I think that he did cocaine and heroin on and off. I don't think he was addicted yet. I guess I could tell a little bit about my dad. My grandfather on my dad's side is my real grandfather. My grandmother is my adopted grandmother. And how that happened is my grandfather and my grandmother were married, and he cheated on her, and the woman got pregnant. Well, she did not want my dad. She did not want a baby. She wanted to get rid of him when he was born. She burned his foot with a cigarette, from what I've been told. I really don't know. Everything that I'm saying, I've just gathered. This is what has shaped me. This is what I've been told, so I'm going to talk about it. And so my grandmother decided that she would adopt my dad. So she adopted my dad from the woman that my grandfather cheated with. So that's how that happened. And I think my grandfather and my grandmother split up after that. So she had my dad, and then whatever. So anyways, that's part of my dad's story. And so like I said, when him and my mom split up, we lived in the same apartment, and my mom met this man, my sister's dad. I'm not going to say his name. He lived in the same building. They got together. They were hanging out. So we moved in together, and when I was 5 years old, my mom had my sister, and sorry, I'm just trying to read this to see if I'm missing anything. So this time, like, I was 5, my dad and his side of the family got visitation rights to me, supervised visitation. I have been told that my dad would not show up a lot every time. That I remember my grandmother and my aunt would always show up. My dad, not so much, not a lot. So I guess this is when his addiction got really heavy and he was addicted to heroin. So my mom and my sister's dad are together. I loved this man. I thought he was great, and he was a good dad to me. He was a good dad to my sister, and I just thought life was great, and it was great. And then I just remember that my mom and him would close their bedroom door a lot and be in there for a long time. And they would tell me that they were smoking. So by this time I was probably 7, because my sister was walking, and she wasn't like a little baby or anything. And so I found out, like, eventually, like, they were doing drugs. This man, my sister's dad, had dabbled in drugs, heroin, and eventually we lose our apartment, we lose our place to live. So we all 4 go live with my mother's parents, my grandparents, and I thought it was so great. I thought, like, everybody in the same house that I loved, all my favorite people, besides my dad, obviously. But I was young, and, like, I was just so happy. And so my grandparents didn't know they were doing drugs. They didn't know they were doing heroin. My mom was working. My sister's dad was working. So it was pretty normal. I was going to school, and, so then, honestly, I'm not going to tell you guys that I remember which of these events came first. I do not. I don't remember at all. So I'm going to just talk about one and then the other, because I think they were pretty close together. So I remember coming home from school one day, and there was a police officer there. My grandfather was there. My mom was at work. My sister's dad was at work. So I didn't know what was going on. Well, that night, my sister's dad had to leave. He had to pack all his things and leave, and I didn't understand. So eventually I found out that he had wrote a check from my grandfather's account and cashed it without permission for drugs, and so he had to leave. So I know around this time he was living, I just remember him living in a car and seeing him live in a car, and it was just so sad for me. And like, it was sad because I loved my grandpa, and I didn't know how my sister's dad could do this to us, and I didn't know why he would do this. I was young. I didn't know a lot about addiction. I didn't know anything about addiction. I was a kid. So I remember that, and then my mom and him were still together. I remember wanting to take him a blanket to the car one night because it was so cold, and I was just so worried. So I guess that's what started my anxiety and stress as a child. So this, like, came either shortly before or shortly after. I honestly don't remember. So my grandmother, I remember I was the only person home, and I'm in my room, and I'm just doing things like cleaning, and she yells my name, and I go downstairs, and she has a brown paper bag, and she's breathing into it, and I didn't know what was going on. She told me to run and get the neighbor. we live on a quiet street. We all know each other. So I ran as fast as I could to get the neighbor, and the paramedics came. They didn't let me back in the house. They didn't let me see my grandmother. My mom rushed home from work. My grandfather rushed home from work. And I guess she died from a heart attack, and I didn't even get to see her. I guess she was already passed. They just didn't want me to see her like that. I was 8 years old. So I remember that, and that really, I know it hurt me a lot. My grandparents were everything to me. We did everything together, like everything, like vacations, out to eat, mall, flea market, everything. So that was like a traumatic event for me, I would say. I guess people would say I'm like desensitized to my trauma. I don't really think my childhood was traumatic. I wasn't abused. I wasn't neglected. I'm not going to say I had a traumatic childhood. I did not. I think I had an okay childhood, a good childhood compared to what other people have went through. So I'm not saying any of that. But these things affected me and hurt me. So I'm 8 when this happens. Life returns to normal as it can get. I'm going to school. It's me, my mom, my grandpa, and my sister living in the house. And I guess the next traumatic event in my life is in 2010. I was 12 years old. So I'm going to talk about until I was 14, because, So I was 12 years old, and, right? 13. 12 or 13. It was before my birthday. This was in March. So I remember this day very clearly. I'm never going to forget this day. I slept in the basement, and I woke up. It was a Friday morning, I want to say, and I realized that I was late for school. Nobody woke me up. Oh my gosh, and what's going on? Why am I not at school? I run upstairs, and everybody's sitting in the living room. It's my mother, my grandfather, my sister's dad's mother, and my sister's on her lap. So my sister's about 7, because I'm 12, 12, so she's 7, and I immediately just wonder this is out of the ordinary, what is going on, I don't know, and, so I immediately think in my head, something happened to my sister's father. Something bad happened to my sister's father. Why is his mother here? My grandma, why is she here? So they tell me to sit down, and she brushes my hair with her hand, and she talks to me for a minute, and she was like, I need to tell you something. She told me that my father had passed away last night. And at first, I did not believe her. I was like, no, not my sister's dad. Something didn't happen to him. What? And she was like, no, honey, it's your dad. And I said, well, why are you here? What is going on? And my mom was like, Logan, I could not tell you myself. I couldn't tell you myself, and she was the only person that would help me. So I don't remember much after that. I don't remember that day. I don't really remember anything about that day, or probably even that week. My dad passed away in a gas station bathroom from a heroin overdose, and that's just what I know. That's just what happened, and that changed my life forever. And so I'm going to tell a little bit about that, and then I'm going to end this video. I'm not going to go until the age of 12. That would be too long. That's where I'm going to pick up in my next video. So my dad was living in Columbus with his father, and it was a Friday, I remember, because I was supposed to go to school, get off school, and then see my dad that night or later that next day, because he was driving down to stay with his mother and see me. And my grandfather told the guy that was coming with my dad, do not let Sean, that's my dad's name, I'll say his name, do not let Sean stop anywhere. Don't let him drive. Don't let him get out by himself. Don't let him do anything by himself. He's been doing good. Now, just watch him, you know. Well, the guy let my dad drive. This is just things I've been told. Like I said, I'm not blaming anybody. I don't know anything but what I've been told. I wasn't there. I don't know. So the guy let my dad drive, make a stop apparently. So then they stopped at the gas station, and my dad was like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. Well, he didn't come out of the bathroom. After 10 minutes, the guy told the clerk, told him what could be wrong, I guess. I don't know. And so they found him unresponsive, dead on arrival, in a gas station bathroom, and that's how my dad died. And I picture that in my head all the time, and it's terrible. And yeah, so anyways, that's how I'm going to end this video because it's already long enough. I'm open to ideas, suggestions, video, what you want to see, comments, what you didn't like. I just want to keep doing this. I want to eventually like help another addict, like by talking about triggers and other stuff. So I'm going to keep doing this. I don't know. I'm probably going to upload once a week. I don't know how to edit videos at all whatsoever yet, but I'm going to learn because I really want to be good at this, and it's something I want to make a hobby, or even like just like a job. I want to help people. So yeah, that's how I'm going to end the video, and thank you guys for listening, and I really hope you enjoyed it. Bye.